All right, welcome to another episode of CaaS Academy. And today we're going to be talking about container scanning. So we've been talking about all the great things that container environments bring you. They can also bring you all sorts of grief. And one of the ways they can do that is by having your actual containers be compromised. So actually what you're deploying into your infrastructure is actually already compromised. So obviously we have to deal with this. Why do we have to deal with this? One of the wonderful things about containers is there's lots of pre-built containers already out there. So either pre-built in repositories, public repositories, in your own repositories, or Docker files, etc. on GitHub that you can just sort of pull down and run. So lots of different ways of making your life easier as a developer. However, that does not mean necessarily that all of those are good. Also, it doesn't necessarily mean that the code that they're pulling in is necessarily good. Not necessarily intentionally malevolent, but what you could have is a Docker file that builds an Nginx container, and it references an Nginx release that say an exploit was found on, and there's a CVE filed for it. Your Docker file, if it's pinned to that release or that image, will continue to build with that now compromisable or compromised Nginx image. I'm picking on Nginx here. It could be anything. Postgres, whatever you're doing. So what you probably want to do is have something in your build chain or in your deploy chain that actually goes ahead and checks to see if the containers and the code they contain or that they incorporate are vulnerable, are trustworthy, etc. So there's tools out there that are container scanning tools, sometimes stack analysis, etc., where you can actually take your containers, run them through these tools, maybe as part of your CI pipeline, and have that make a determination. Oh, this is using Nginx version X. There's a CVE on Nginx version X. Now, you might have it configured to just immediately stop at that point and not deploy that code. Maybe it's a minor CVE and you're okay with it, and so you tell minor CVEs, just let me know, but still go ahead and deploy. Or pull it aside for a code review. Same thing. Containers that have now been built that are sitting in your registries, you probably want to go through and scan those on a semi-regular basis because CVEs pop up all the time, other known vulnerabilities pop up all the time. So basically, it's just a way to introspect the container and the code that's encompassed within the container and the libraries, etc., and make sure that they're clean, at least as far as you can tell. Other things that you might want to do in this is look for keys. Maybe you don't want keys to be shipped in your containers, etc. So, these can check for things other than just straight up vulnerabilities. So that's really what a container scanning tool is. We're going to talk more about that just right after I get done here. But that's an introduction to container scanning tools, why you might want to use them. Otherwise, if you don't have a tool doing it, one of two things. Either you're not checking them at all, which is a bad idea, or someone's manually checking all of them, and that's a really bad idea. So go ahead. Container scanning tools should probably be part of your build and deployment process, and also pointed at all your repos to make sure that even things that have previously passed scan continue to pass scan because, again, the threat environment's constantly changing. So that's an introduction to container scanning tools. Hope it was useful.